First off, I want to thank the brave men and women who work behind the wall. I want to thank them on a national level because their job goes unrecognized.
How do they try to turn a guard?
Well, correctional officer. Sorry, I apologize. But correctional officer.
How you guys doing today? It's Anthony Gangi, host of Tier Talk. There's a lot of people on my channel that are going into the interview process for corrections. So I've been getting questions within the comments that are saying, hey, Gange, what advice would you give someone who is entering corrections? So I'm going to give my advice. And then what's cool about having a platform like this is that I hope that those that follow this channel will also give advice. So this is great advice because it's experienced advice. So when we come back from our sponsors, the advice we're going to give is related to the interview process. What advice would you give someone who is getting ready to interview for a position in corrections? That's our topic today. So guys, if you haven't, the show Tier Talks for you brave men and women that work in corrections. So please subscribe, interact, engage, comment, hit that bell. That bell's going to notify you every time I post up a video. I stand by for our sponsors.
I wanted to attend a university that had an intelligence program. I wanted to look at problems different. I wanted to increase my critical thinking abilities. AMU offered those avenues to expand. Obtaining your degree as an adult, you're actually paying yourself and investing in yourself. You can't put a dollar on it, it's priceless. It's something that can never be taken away from you.
American Military University. Learn from the leader.
Thank you guys for listening to our sponsor. Sometimes it's good to cover a topic again because there's new information. I have a bigger audience now, so more people can be engaged, can comment. And also, it's tough to go back and find the videos that I once did. So it's good just to get right on this video, and because it's relevant right now. Someone's asking me questions about what advice would you give someone entering the correctional interview process. Let's do it. Let's cover it again. My first piece of advice, and guys, this isn't all-inclusive. That's why I have an audience, a platform, so whatever they feel I didn't cover, they can go ahead and add. Or if they like one of the answers I said, they can elaborate. That's all. But one thing I would like to mention is consistency. Be consistent on the interview. Consistency shows that you know who you are. And trust me, in this profession, you need to know who you are. You need to know what you are able to handle. If you are not consistent on the interview, the person that's interviewing you cannot get an understanding of who you are. So therefore, if you don't understand who you are, you can't expect the person interviewing you to understand who you are. So be consistent with your answers. Do not lie. That's kind of like the political term for lying. If the person comes off as being inconsistent, that's like the political term for lying. So what I'm telling you to do right now is do not lie on the interview. Be consistent. Also, know for a fact that corrections, you have to think on the fly. You have to be able to make decisions. That's the key. You cannot freeze. And there are going to be questions that are asked of you that are scenario based. And you're going to have to come up with a decision. Now, whether that decision is right or wrong, the point of the question is to see if you're willing to make a decision. To see if you're willing to take the baton and run with it. If you freeze, that's a problem for us in corrections. Corrections, we need action. We need people in these positions who are able to make a decision on the fly, adapt, adjust, whatever the case may be. And that has to come across in the interview process. Because that's the easy part, believe it or not. It's when it's happening in real time where it's hard. So right off the bat, when you're taking that interview questions and they're asking you these scenario-based questions, you have to show them that you're willing to make a decision. I think that would be one of the greater benefits to your interview, is if you're able to show that you're willing to step up and make a decision. I would also like to mention that we're not looking for people who are braggarts. We're not looking for people who are going to walk in and say, well, I'm not afraid to work in a prison. I can handle myself physically. I know I can take anyone out. It's not about that. Not in this profession. That's the type of people that wind up getting us hurt. This profession really is all about communication. So when you are being interviewed, you have to communicate clearly. You have to make sure what you say is being understood by the people who are interviewing you, because that's a big part of your job responsibility in corrections. It's about communicating and making sure that the people you're communicating to understand you. So if you have a problem with communication, which is one of the most important skills in corrections, this may not be the job for you. Because again, everything that we do is based on communication. I also want to add one other thing, and it kind of goes in line with the consistent aspect. Know yourself. Before you get interviewed, know yourself. Not only, as I mentioned, will that help you with the first concern I mentioned, the first advice I gave of being consistent with your answers, but knowing yourself will also tell you, is this profession for you? You have to be honest with yourself, because the last thing we would want is for you to realize that in the moment. We don't want you to realize that when shit hits the fan, if you will, because now you're putting lives on the line. You need to know right off the bat, is this profession for you? Which means that take away the money, take away the benefits. Is this something you think you can do? That is the key. Because I know people that ace that interview, they say all the right things, and then reality hits them one day inside that prison, and they can't stand up for the challenge. And that is a problem. That is a major problem here in this field, because lives depend on you once you enter that wall. So you really have to know yourself. Is this a job you can do? Is this a job you can handle? That's the key. You get a glimpse of that when they ask you those scenario-based questions. That's why we're looking for people to answer, make decisions, because that's key. That's one of the aspects that say, okay, maybe I can start doing this job because I'm able to make decisions. But there's also other aspects of the job, which includes the fact that you're walking into an environment that's very unpredictable. All around you, there's threats. How are you going to deal with that? Can you deal with that? And you need to ask yourself that and give yourself a chance to go on these platforms like Tier Talk, or check out Corrections One, check out the Facebook groups, listen to the stories, ask the other professionals, let them tell you some of their stories. And then you can put yourself in those scenarios and ask, what would I do if I was in that scenario? And be honest with your answer. Be honest with yourself. That is the key. As always, guys, the show is Tier Talk. Please add, comment. What are your thoughts? What advice would you give to someone getting ready to be interviewed for the correctional process, if you will? Someone who's getting ready to be interviewed for a job in corrections. And as always, guys, the show is Tier Talk. Once again, please, if you haven't subscribed, interact, engage, comment, hit that bell. That bell's going to notify you every time I post a video. All right, guys, stay safe.